Picture a huge flat plain perfect for shooting arrows from horseback with endless horizons that seem to stretch on forever. And even better for getting lost if you're having a bad day. The Puszta is a place where the sky meets the earth in a seamless blend. This, my friends, is the Puszta, and it's where the Magyars, the stars of our historical story, rode in sometime around the year 900. They were a nomadic people, always on the move. Now the Magyars weren't exactly known for their home decorating skills. Their homes were simple, functional, and easy to pack up. They were more into raiding and looting, which they did with a lot of enthusiasm all over Europe. Their raids were swift and often unexpected, but even future conquerors need a place to call home, and the Carpathian Basin, with its wide-open spaces and no nosy neighbors, seemed like the perfect spot. It offered them the freedom they craved. These early Magyars were very different from the coffee-loving, paprika-sprinkling Hungarians we know and love today. They were a fierce and independent people. They were tough, traveling warriors who lived off the land and scared their more settled neighbors. Their lifestyle was harsh but suited their needs. They worshipped a bunch of different gods, rode horses super fast, and were expert archers, and probably smelled like a campfire after a particularly successful raid. Their lives were intertwined with their horses and the open plains. The early Magyar tribes weren't exactly a united group though. They were a collection of clans, each with its own leader and agenda. Imagine them like that group project you were forced to do in school. Everyone had their own idea, no one wanted to do the work, and the result was usually a big mess. Coordination was not their strong suit. It took a strong leader, kind of like a Magyar Abraham Lincoln, but with fewer whiskers and more horses, to unite the tribes. This leader had to be both a warrior and a diplomat. That leader was Arpad, who, by being smart and charming, managed to bring the arguing Magyars together under his leadership. He was a visionary who saw the potential of a united Magyar people. Now united and ready for adventure, the Magyars started a series of raids that made them the most feared group in Europe. Their unity gave them strength and purpose. They looted their way through modern-day Germany, leaving a trail of destruction. France and even Italy spreading fear wherever they went, leaving behind stolen treasure and confused monks. Their raids were legendary and left a lasting impact on European history. These weren't just random acts of violence though, they were strategic and well-planned. The Magyars were basically having a very aggressive job interview for the position of most powerful group in Central Europe. They wanted to establish their dominance. Spoiler alert, they got the job. Their legacy as fierce warriors and skilled horsemen remains a proud part of Hungarian history. By the year 1000, the Magyars were tired of their traveling lifestyle. They had been roaming the vast plains of Europe for centuries, always on the move, always seeking new lands to conquer. All that riding and raiding was hard work. The constant battles and the endless search for resources were taking their toll. Plus, after a while, people stopped leaving out the good silverware. The element of surprise was gone, and the Magyars found it increasingly difficult to sustain their nomadic lifestyle. It was time to settle down. The Magyars needed a new strategy, one that involved more stability and less constant movement. Géza, Arpad's great-great-great-grandson, don't worry, there won't be a test on the names, was a very important leader. He understood the changing times and the need for a new direction. Géza, a clever politician, realized that if you wanted to be friends with the cool kingdoms of Europe, you needed more than just a scary war cry. Diplomacy and alliances were the new tools of power. You needed religion, specifically Christianity. Aligning with the Christian kingdoms would provide not just spiritual benefits but also political and military support. So began the sometimes forced, sometimes reluctant conversion of the Magyars to Christianity. This was a monumental shift in their culture and way of life. Imagine a bunch of tough warriors used to worshipping nature spirits and drinking fermented mare's milk, being told to sit quietly in church and pray to a guy nailed to a cross. It was a tough sell. It wasn't easy to convince them, to say the least. There were many who resisted, clinging to their old beliefs and ways. However, Géza's son Stephen really liked this whole Christianity thing. He saw it as the future for his people and was determined to make it work. He finished his father's work, stopped any pagan rebellions, and in the year 1000, he got a shiny new crown from the Pope, becoming Stephen I, the first king of Hungary. This was a significant moment in Hungarian history. Stephen wasn't just about being religious and looking good though. He had a vision for a strong and unified kingdom. He was a smart ruler who knew that a strong army and a well-organized country were just as important as God's favor. He invested in building a robust military and infrastructure. He built forts, set up a system of counties, and basically created the Kingdom of Hungary, a kingdom that would become a major power in Central Europe. His reforms laid the foundation for future prosperity. The next few centuries were a bit of a roller coaster for the new kingdom. There were ups and downs, but the kingdom endured. There were fights for power, invasions, and the occasional plague. Each challenge tested the resilience of the kingdom. But through it all, Hungary survived, even spreading its influence over nearby lands. The kingdom grew in strength and reputation. They fought off the Mongols, take that Genghis, welcomed different groups of people into their kingdom, and generally became known as a group you didn't want to mess with. Hungary's legacy was cemented as a formidable force in medieval Europe. By the 1500s, a new group had shown up, the Ottoman Empire. They were a force to be reckoned with, and their arrival marked a significant shift in the region's power dynamics. These guys were the new kids on the block, and they weren't here to play games. Their military prowess and strategic acumen were unmatched at the time. They had conquered lots of land, and they wanted Hungary next. Their ambition knew no bounds, and Hungary was a prized target. The Battle of Mohacs in 1526 was a very important event. It was a turning point that would shape the future of Hungary for centuries. Imagine this. A hot summer day, two armies fighting on a dusty field, cannons booming, swords clashing, and lots of confusion. It wasn't pretty. The chaos and brutality of the battle were unimaginable. The Ottomans, with more soldiers and fancy new guns, crushed the Hungarian army. Their superior firepower and tactics left the Hungarians devastated. King Louis II, probably wishing he'd worn his lucky socks that day, drowned in a river while trying to escape. His tragic end symbolized the downfall of Hungarian resistance. The Ottoman victory at Mohacs split Hungary into three parts, Ottoman Hungary in the south and center, creating a fragmented and unstable region. Royal Hungary, controlled by the Habsburgs, in the north and west, adding another layer of complexity to the political landscape. And Transylvania, a mostly independent area stuck in the middle. This division led to a period of constant tension and conflict. This period is what Hungarians call the Time of Troubles, and it's a pretty accurate name. The instability and hardship were felt by everyone. The Ottomans, known for their baths and sweet pastries, weren't exactly known for letting people have different religions or cultures. Their rule was strict and often oppressive. They made people pay high taxes, turned churches into mosques, and generally made life hard for the Hungarians under their rule. The cultural and religious impositions were significant. Meanwhile, the Habsburgs, who now controlled the Hungarian throne, weren't exactly nice rulers either. Their focus was on consolidating power and expanding their influence. They were more interested in making themselves more powerful and using Hungary as a shield against the Ottomans. The Hungarian people were caught in the middle of this power struggle. Life under Ottoman or Habsburg rule wasn't easy for the average Hungarian. The constant demands and pressures from both sides were overwhelming. Imagine having to pay taxes to two different rulers, each one worse than the last. The financial burden was crushing. It was enough to make you want to drink some palinka, Hungarian fruit brandy. This traditional drink offered a small comfort in tough times, and don't forget the constant threat of war, rebellion, and the occasional plague. These added layers of suffering made life even more challenging. It wasn't all bad though. Despite the hardships, the Hungarian spirit remained resilient. Hungarian culture survived and even thrived in some places. The arts, architecture, and crafts continued to flourish. And hey, at least they had palinka. This beloved drink was a small but significant part of their cultural identity. The 1800s started with Europe going through a lot of changes. Napoleon was busy conquering everything except a good barber, and nationalism was the new cool thing. Hungarians, tired of being ruled by Austrians with weird mustaches, started to demand more freedom. The Hungarian language became popular again, and people like Lajos Kossuth became important, talking about Hungarian independence. The year 1848 saw revolutions happening all over Europe like a popular song. Hungary, never one to miss a good revolution, joined in with enthusiasm. They demanded more freedom, civil rights, and an end to the old system of feudalism. The revolution, led by passionate people like Kossuth, was successful at first. However, the Habsburgs, with help from their Russian friends, weren't going to let Hungary go that easily. They stopped the revolution, forcing Kossuth to leave the country and starting a period of harsh control. The Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867 brought some peace, creating a system where Hungary became a partner, though not an equal one, in the Habsburg Empire. This period, known as the Golden Age of Hungary, saw the economy grow quickly, culture blossom, and some truly amazing buildings go up in Budapest. However, the empire had a lot of tension between different ethnic groups, and World War I was the thing that set it all off.